Okay, so get this. Today we are diving into the world of video games.
Right.
And before you, was it even a paddle?
Yeah.
And don't even get me started on the Atari days.
Oh, yeah.
But you're right, the pace of change is unbelievable.
It's really unbelievable. And what's so fascinating is how those early consoles, the Atari, the NES, they weren't just technological advancements.
Yeah.
They sparked a cultural shift.
Ultimately.
Suddenly, gaming wasn't confined to arcades. It was in your living room, a shared family experience.
Totally. And then the 90s hit, and bam,
Yeah.
3D gaming explodes onto the scene.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw Super Mario 64,
Yeah.
it was like the world literally opened up.
It really did.
But it wasn't just about adding another dimension
Yeah.
visually, right?
Exactly. Super Mario 64 was a masterclass in using that new 3D space to reinvent how games control.
Interesting.
The analog stick, which we take for granted now, was revolutionary.
Wow.
It gave players this unheard of precision, this freedom to navigate and explore.
Cool.
It's no exaggeration to say Super Mario 64 influenced game design for decades to come.
It's amazing how one game can be such a turning point.
I know, it's crazy.
But hold on, because things were about to get even more connected.
Oh, yeah.
Enter online gaming in the 2000s.
That's right. And it wasn't just about playing with your friends on the couch anymore.
Oh.
This was about massive, persistent worlds like World of Warcraft, where thousands of players coexisted, forming communities, economies, even political systems within the game.
It's mind-blowing.
It's wild.
And now we've got mobile gaming, VR, AR.
Oh.
It's like that scene in Back to the Future Part 2, except it's our reality.
It really is, and it all happened in the blink of an eye, historically speaking.
Right.
The gaming landscape is in constant flux, constantly pushing boundaries, which is why, as the article points out, being able to navigate this world to understand what makes a good game in all this chaos is more important than ever.
Which brings us to the heart of it all, video game reviews.
Okay.
Because, let's be real, with the sheer volume of games coming out, who has time to play everything?
That's right. Nobody.
So give everybody listening a little bit of a breakdown
Okay.
about video game reviews.
So video game reviews have become essential, but as the article points out, there's a real art to reviewing a game. It's
Yeah.
not just about saying graphics, good, story, bad. You have to understand the nuances of game design, the interplay of mechanics, narrative, and artistic vision.
So walk us through it. What are some of the key elements that make or break a game in the eyes of a seasoned reviewer? Give us the inside scoop.
Okay, so first and foremost, you've got to consider the gameplay mechanics. And I don't just mean like the basic actions you perform in the game, but how those actions feel, how they interact, how they feed into the overall loop of the game.
So it's not just about what you're doing. It's about how it actually feels to, say, swing a sword or drive a car in the game.
Exactly. A good example is Celeste.
Okay.
On the surface, it's this simple platformer about climbing a mountain.
Right.
But the way the jumping, the dashing, the wall climbing mechanics are fine-tuned creates this incredibly satisfying and almost musical flow state.
Interesting.
It's challenging, but it's never unfair, and that's down to the brilliance of the mechanics.
So we've got the feel of the game down. What about the look?
Right, graphics and art style are hugely important, of course.
Yeah.
But it's not just about raw graphical fidelity.
Okay.
It's about how the visuals serve the game's atmosphere, tone, and overall message.
So a game like Limbo, with its stark black and white visuals, can be just as impactful as something like hyper-realistic like Red Dead Redemption 2.
Absolutely. Limbo's art style creates this haunting, oppressive atmosphere that perfectly complements its puzzle platforming gameplay.
Right.
It's a great example of how style can be more effective than pure graphical horsepower.
It makes sense. Now we can't forget about the story.
Yeah.
Games these days are practically interactive movies.
Oh, totally. And storytelling in games has become incredibly sophisticated.
Yeah.
A great narrative in a game isn't just about passively watching cutscenes.
Right.
It's about how the story is woven into the gameplay, how your choices as a player impact the narrative arc.
So a game like Disco Elysium, where dialogue choices can dramatically alter the story, that's a good example of this.
Definitely, Disco Elysium puts you in the shoes of a detective with amnesia, and your choices determine not just the case you solve, but your character's entire personality and ideology.
Whoa.
It's a masterclass in interactive storytelling.
Now this next one might seem kind of subtle, but the article made me realize how important it is sound design.
Oh, yeah.
I'll admit sometimes I play with the sound off if I'm multitasking.
Sure.
But I'm guessing that's a big no-no for a true gaming connoisseur.
Well, I mean, it's more than just background music,
Okay.
Sound design can make or break the atmosphere, it can build tension, it can even subtly guide the player.
Okay.
Think about a horror game like Amnesia. The dark descent,
Right.
the creaking of the floorboards, the distant whispers. Those are what truly make it terrifying.
You've convinced me sound is officially on my radar now, but
Yeah.
what about the long game?
Right?
How do you keep players hooked for hours on end? What about replayability?
That's the holy grail for many developers.
Yeah.
And it's not just about tacking on a multiplayer mode. It's about creating a world or a gameplay loop that is so engaging, so rewarding to master, that players keep coming back for more.
Like Hades, right?
Right?
I've heard people rave about how each run feels fresh even after you've played it 100 times.
Hades brilliantly combines roguelike elements with a compelling narrative and satisfying combat.
Okay.
Every playthrough is different, but the core loop is so well designed that it never gets old.
Okay, so we've covered the nuts and bolts of what makes a great game,
Right.
but this article and, our deep dive here, it goes way beyond that, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's about the community, the culture. It's like this whole world that exists around the games themselves.
Absolutely. Gaming is more than just a hobby. It's a social phenomenon, a cultural force to be reckoned with.
Right.
And to truly understand it, you have to look beyond the screen.
Which brings us to the fascinating world of gaming communities.
Okay.
We're talking forums,
Yeah.
Discord servers, Reddit threads. It's like this whole other universe.
It's incredible these online spaces have become vital for fostering connections, sharing strategies, and even shaping the way games are developed.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
You're telling me that developers actually listen to what gamers are saying in these online communities?
More and more these days.
That's kind of amazing.
Remember that game dev discourse the article mentioned? That's exactly what it's referring to, this ongoing dialogue between creators and players.
Right.
And it can be incredibly influential.
So it's not just about like ranting about bugs and glitches anymore.
Right.
Gamers actually have a voice in shaping the games they love.
They do.
That's kind of revolutionary.
It really is. Take the game No Man's Sky, for example.
Right.
It launched with a lot of hype.
Right.
But players were disappointed with some of the missing features.
Yeah.
The developers listened to that feedback, though.
Okay.
And over the next few years, they released a series of massive updates, completely transforming the game into something truly special.
Wow.
It's a testament to the power of that collaborative spirit.
That's incredible. It's like this giant feedback loop, constantly refining and evolving the gaming landscape. Talk about a win-win.
Totally.
But let's talk about another aspect of gaming culture that has just exploded in recent years.
Okay.
eSports.
Yeah.
I mean, who would thought that playing video games could fill stadiums and have prize pools bigger than some traditional sports?
It's mind-boggling, right?
Yeah.
But it speaks to the dedication, the skill, and the sheer passion of these players.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the competition itself. It's about the community that's sprung up around it, the fans, the rivalries, the nail-biting matches.
Right.
It's become a spectator sport in its own right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll admit, I've gotten sucked into those intense League of Legends matches.
Oh, yeah.
The strategy, the teamwork,
Yeah.
the incredible mechanical skill on display. It's mesmerizing.
For sure.
But even beyond the pros, it feels like gaming has become this incredible breeding ground for creativity.
Yeah.
The article touched on fan art, music, even mods.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
We're seeing this generation of gamers who aren't just content with consuming, they're creating, they're remixing, they're pushing the boundaries of what's possible within these virtual worlds.
Right.
And the quality of the work is often astounding.
Yeah.
There are fan-made trailers that rival Hollywood productions' original music scores that could be straight out of a blockbuster film.
It's that blurring of the lines we were talking about earlier, right?
There you
Between
go.
audience and creator art and entertainment reality and the virtual world.
Exactly.
And it goes even deeper than that.
Okay.
The article also mentioned how gaming is being used as a platform for advocacy and social change.
Absolutely. We're seeing more and more games tackling complex issues like mental health, social justice, and climate change.
It's true.
Games can be incredibly powerful tools for empathy, for putting players in someone else's shoes and making them think critically about the world around them.
It's amazing to me how far gaming has come from those early days of Pong and
I
Pac-Man.
know, it's crazy.
It's gone from this niche hobby to this global phenomenon, influencing everything from technology to culture to social activism.
It really has, and it shows no signs of slowing down.
It doesn't.
As technology continues to advance and the lines between the real and virtual worlds continue to blur, Who knows what the future holds for gaming?
Yeah,
One thing's for sure, though, it's going to be fascinating to watch it unfold.
you got that right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've covered a ton of ground today.
We really have.
From the evolution of game design to the power of gaming communities and the cultural impact of this ever-evolving world, this has been quite the deep dive.
It really has, and we've only just scratched the surface.
Which is why we want to hear from you. What surprised you most about the world of gaming today?
Yeah.
Do you think games have become a force for good in the world? Head over to our social media pages and share your thoughts. And until next time, keep exploring, keep playing, and keep diving deeper.